Hi everyone, welcome back to Unscripted Storytelling, and today I'm just going to be briefly showing you two different photo editing platforms. One is a professional platform known as Adobe Photoshop, and the other platform is just an online photo editor called Pixlr, and you can access that through pixlr.com/editor, and you can actually download a free month trial for Photoshop if you'd like. I'm using the most current software. I believe it's called CS6, so that's the latest version of Photoshop that I'll be demonstrating to you today. So first let's go ahead and compare the two briefly. So just looking at them, you can tell this is Pixlr, and you can tell that they definitely look similar in from their features. They have the same colors, so the platform itself looks similar, but they definitely have a lot of different features to them and some limitations as well. And this is just to show you the difference between a free editing platform for those of you who might be exploring the world of photography and photo editing, or just are curious about it, versus those of you who want to explore Photoshop and explore all the different capabilities that it does have. It's a great platform. It can do a lot. But sometimes there's just so many buttons that you might not, if this isn't exactly what you're committed to, then maybe you don't need to spend the $700. Maybe you will be perfectly fine with just the free Pixlr photo editor. So this video will hopefully help you determine which you need for your photo editing. So this is my friend Zolfia. She gave me the rights to use her photo. I took this photo of her for my demonstration, so thanks, Zolfia. And let's get started. So basically, to begin, whenever you edit a photo, you have to deal with layers. And as you can see, it's very, very similarly displayed in Pixlr as it is in Photoshop in the bottom right corner. This is Photoshop, so layers are displayed in the bottom right, and same with Pixlr. So your layers basically track all of your work and your history when editing, and without your layers you probably wouldn't be able to undo any mistakes that you've made. So layers are extremely important. So in order to make a new layer, you drag the background to this little new layer tab, looks like a little page, and it'll make a background copy, and you can do the same exact thing for Photoshop. So they're very similar in terms of their user interface. So once you make a background copy, this will allow you to undo any changes you first make and make a copy of that copy, and just keep going until you're all the way finished and you can merge all your layers and kind of go back and compare your work. But for the purpose of this video, we're going to keep it really simple with editing, and we're just going to do some face work. And not that there's anything wrong with her lovely face, but we're just going to enhance some of her features. We're going to darken her eyebrows and her eyes, maybe brighten her eyes a little bit, and just darken her lips. And we're going to do the same thing on Photoshop. And I'm going to show you that really you don't even need Photoshop to do these actions, except Photoshop does have a little more capability and control. So first let's start with Photoshop. We're going to start with the more difficult, and then we'll go to the easy. So on Photoshop, or also on Pixlr, you're going to utilize the burn tool, because we want to basically not burn her, but darken her features. And we're going to select the range, and because we're kind of working in the middle here, we're going to select her midtones. We don't want to select her highlights. We're not going down, we're not on her cheekbones or her nose, and we're not going to select shadows because, we're not working on her hairline or her right by her ears, contouring her face or anything. So keep it towards midtones, and you can leave your exposure at 50, and keep it to protect the tone of her skin. So go ahead and click, this is the burn tool, it looks like a little fist, and you click burn. And we're just going to zoom in so that we have more accurate space to work with. So I'm actually going to increase the size of my brush. Oh, oopsies. And we're going to increase it to Let's do like 70s. Okay. So this should be good enough. So we're going to go ahead and you can automatically see that this is going to darken her features right away. And we're going to darken her eyeliner and her top eyelid, her bottom lashes. And as you can see, this just brings out some of her features and her pupils, her lips. And then we're going to go ahead and actually, instead of burn now, we want to lighten her eye, you know, besides her pupils, the little white space by her eyes. So you're going to use the dodge. So there's dodge and there's burn. Dodge is when you want to, you know, create a brightness, I guess. So we're going to obviously reduce the size of our brush. And let's zoom in a little more. And as you can see, this is also good for teeth whitening, maybe, you know, highlighting, you know, for girls, even for men as well. You know, you can highlight your cheekbones and your nose. So I think that's good now for highlighting her eyelids. We'll get rid of this little black. And we're going to go ahead and zoom out. So if you can't tell already, since we've been looking at it, you can just go to this little eye button and see, you know, kind of a before and after of your work. So let's go ahead and click it, and that is before we use the dodge and burn tool, and this is after. So it's pretty intense of a difference. But because we don't want it to be too dramatic, you know, she does have a natural face here, a natural look, we can reduce the fill and the opacity. So reducing the fill, I mean, for this you might not, as you can see, it'll lighten, you know, reduce how intense the dodge is, but we're going to work with the opacity instead. So we're just going to reduce it a little to, let's do 60. And you can still see a significant difference, but it doesn't look as super intense. So this is kind of the final, most simplified look. In terms, you know, for time purposes, just to show you the, you know, the capabilities of Photoshop at the most basic level. So we're going to go ahead and move over and do the exact same process to our photo in Pixlr. So I'm actually going to delete this. You can delete any background copy in Pixlr or Photoshop just by drag and dropping. So we're going to go ahead and create a new layer and do the same exact process. So we zoomed in, and just make sure you select your burn tool. Okay, so we're just going to do the same process, and we're going to go over her features. Oops, hey. That's another thing with Pixlr. It is on a browser, so you have to be careful where you press, especially if you're working on a laptop. And we're doing the same exact thing. We're, you know, bringing out all her features. And now we just want to find the dodge tool, but I actually don't think, oh, there it is. Kidding, there's the dodge tool. So we're going to go ahead and brighten her eyes. And same exact thing for the other side. And I actually just realized I need to darken her lips also. Okay, so that should do it. And let's go back to being, let's go to, okay. Oop. So once again, you can do before and after the same way you can do in Photoshop. So before and after. And the only downside to this is, at least I haven't figured it out on my own, is that you can't, for this tool, adjust the fill or opacity, which makes it pretty frustrating because if you don't want that much intensity, you cannot control it. So, oh, actually, I lied. You can adjust the opacity. Okay. So you can go ahead and adjust the opacity. once you're done doing this. And you can go ahead and reduce it again to, you can do 50, or actually 60. But you can't adjust the fill or anything like that. But you can do the mode, which will either, you could choose to darken it, but because it's just a dodge or burn tool, you can't really do much else with that. So basically that is it, and make sure you merge your layers in both. So we're gonna go ahead and do layer, and we're gonna we'll flatten the image. We'll merge all the layers, but since we only have one layer, you can either merge down, but we'll do flatten image, and that just basically sets up your image to be ready to be exported. And we're gonna do the same exact thing. Is go to layer, and we're gonna flatten the image, and then that's it, and your photo is ready to be exported. And they look, pretty good. The only biggest difference maybe is in the color, because you're working on a different platform. You're on a browser, as opposed to working on an actual photo editing platform. So that would be, one of the downsides. But I think that this is really beneficial and good to know for people who kind of just want to enhance their photos a little bit, or even just want to explore. Pixlr does a really good job. It has all the basic tools to do, very surface level editing that you maybe wanted to do to, just to touch up your photos. So I think that this concludes our video, and leave a comment or, a question or any sort of, insight, or maybe something you learned that you didn't know, and I'll be happy to read them. So I hope you guys learned about the difference in the photo editing platforms, and hopefully this will save you a lot of time and money. And be sure to check back to unscriptedstorytelling.wordpress.com for more tips and tricks on how to enhance your photos. Thanks guys, and thanks for watching.